Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chimdomsu, and I'll be speaking on behalf of Nana of the Scrum Master of the Fusion team. So this is just a report that provides an overview of the various sprints from 0 to 4. So this slide, it's basically a list of the principles and contributions of the Scrum Master, and as depicted here, she facilitated daily stand-ups, monitored sprint progress, resolved blockers, encouraged cross-team collaboration, as well as maintained team focus on sprint goals. Um, she Some of her core deliverables across the sprints were the product backlog items as well as the sprint backlog items, the team performance data, and process evidence. Uh, so the summary across the 3 sprints. So there was the sprint planning for the 4 sprints, and the sprints lasted every the duration of the duration of sprints was 2 weeks, and so she was responsible for planning of sprints and refining sprints, um anchoring the daily scrum meetings, sprint review, as well as the team retrospectives. Um the sprint overview for sprint 1, the goal was to develop the mentor skid website. Uh, the focus area was to develop a static version of the mentor skid website, as long as it meets the product owner's uh this the product owner's let's say deliverables. What's As long as it met the features, the desirable features. Then sprint 2 was adding functionalities to button. Sprint 3 was to build core functionalities for the mental skid website. So this is just a summary table of the different sprints. So sprint 1 was from July 1st to 14th, and we see that 90% of tasks were completed. For sprint 2, all tasks were completed, which, remember, sprint 2 was just assigning functionality to buttons, so that was completed. And for sprint 3, 80% of tasks were completed. Um, this is just showing the completed deliverables for sprint 1, the completed deliverables for sprint 2, and the completed deliverables for sprint 3. Um, Sprint 4, which ends today, um, the planned PBIs were 7, but only 6 was completed. And in terms of scope increase, we just have 2. Uh, so these are just the metrics and charts. The burn down charts for Sprint 4. And so retrospective actions, across the sprints, what could improve, what went well, as well as the actions. So the Scrum Master basically tried to
One
strengthen
minute more.
accountability and professional engagement in all ceremonies and meetings. Impediments and resolutions that were worked on across the sprint. So these were put out for the Scrum Master or the business analyst or the developers across the different sprints, and then it just points ways that these issues were resolved. The artifacts, just these are just snapshots of all the work done by the sprints by the Scrum Master. Um, yeah, just pretty much. So the deliverables for sprints 2, 3, the retrospective board across the sprints, the wiki pages. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lovett, and I'm presenting on behalf of the data analyst. However, I'm presenting alone because my other team member is not available at the moment. So I'm presenting from what we did from the 17th of July to the 11th of August. Sorry, there's a mistake. To the 11th of August 2025. So for sprint one, we discussed what SQL is, structured query language, and we were introduced to what it entails. We were also made to know data query languages, data development languages. Sorry, I think something is obstructing my screen. Data definition languages, data manipulation languages, and how to unload data onto SQL database, and the query functions, continuation, and also the select distinct. And this introduction was based on the 5 where clauses. So these are screenshots of some of the activities we did from the AdventureWorks database that we had. We were able to upload the database and clean it as well. So for Power BI for Sprint 1, we were introduced to Power BI to set up our SSMS and also how to prepare data. Then we taught how to load in CSV and text formats, and we also taught how to transform data from different sources, from other sources aside CSV and text formats. So this is a screenshot of the data that were uploaded onto Power Query Editor. We also use the AdventureWorks database. This AdventureWorks is like a database for a company, a marketing company. So we had a lot of data to work with. This is also another screenshot where we were able to select columns and also show the quality of the data we have in each column. So for Power BI, we still continue to transform data using the Power Query, and we removed irrelevant data contents. We merged, we renamed, we expanded some, and we also customized some of the columns. We were also able to filter some of the columns that we have, and we're also able to design and show relationships between the data sets. So this is a screenshot of the relationships that we were able to establish in the data set through the Power BI. And from this, we were able to rename some of the rows some of the columns that we had for Sprint. So for SQL, we uploaded data, we reviewed them, then we selected some of these data. We also taught that the aggregate functions and the comparisons and compound comparisons. So these are some of the screenshots of the activities we did with the formulas. And this is also a table for the comparison functions that we did through SQL. And this is a screenshot of the compound comparison that we also did. This is still a continuation of the compound comparison that we did. So for Power BI, we were able to select columns, change columns, merge columns, and replace values. We're also able to add calculations and also to make tables. We still continue with the creation of relationship between tables. So these are screenshots of the data that we reviewed within the tables. From these screenshots, we were able to select some values and view them within the columns just to see if they're actually what we want or not.
Less than a minute more.
So this is a screenshot of where we also merged and linked some of the tables, and this is one that where we replaced some values, and they're just screenshots of a lot of things that we've done. So for Sprint 3, for SQL, we learned the order by clause, where we learned about the left join. other byclaws and also the joints and the joints. So this is screenshots of everything that we did pretty much. Then for Power BI, then we went through dimensions and hierarchies. These are screenshots of that as well throughout. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabriel. I'm presenting on the behalf of the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 team, official team. We're a group of 6 members, but I'm able to get a slide from just from 4 members of the team. So test case slide for Gabriel, which is me. My name is Gabriel 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓. Sprint 1 test cases. These are the screenshot of the test cases which I wrote on some of the PBIs on the Azure board. Test cases. Sprint 2 test cases. And the Sprint 2, I wrote test cases on the test cases on the giving functionality to the button, making sure that they are clickable, they are performing the function which they need to perform to do. Sprint 2 test cases. Okay. This is a screenshot of one of the automation that we'll carry out on the demo site. Going on to the MentorSky website for to confirm, to make sure that the acceptance criteria is traceable with the MentorSky, what the buttons are meant to do. This the login registering as a mentee. Sprint 3 test cases on the Azure board. Writing a test case for the join as a mentor button clickable scenario 1, which is the scenario 2 for the same test cases. Verify explore all mentors button is clickable. That's ensuring that the button is clickable, verifying verifying that through the test cases and on the website demo. Scenario 2. Verify functionality of the sign up page button. Scenario 1 test case. The same test case scenario 2. Verify get started button is clickable, confirming its functionality. Verify personal detail button is clickable. Security button, its functionality on the MentorSky website. Verify functionality of upload photo button, confirming its functionality. Automation test slide. On the web demo site, this is the test automation test which I carry out on the demo site. That is for the first stage is the login in page, parameterizing the step, the feature file, and again the first stage hard coding, and second stage making sure that we don't want to hard code the step for security purpose. How is it going to behave? How is the test program we're going to behave? And also having a scenario outline with different data, that is data driven development automation. This is the step of definition. Feature file. Step definition.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm speaking on behalf of 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓, a fellow colleagues of QA member. Tools and framework you work with: Azure Board, Excel, Visual Studio, PowerShell, GitHub, and Rec and Roll. Test basic, static testing, dynamic testing, test methodology, acceptance testing, integration testing, performance testing, system testing, type of testing, functional testing, non-functional testing, structural testing. Test techniques. These are the techniques by which we can confirm the behavior of an application through acceptance criteria, work item he worked on the Azure board, he participated in the estimate, Azure board, test case he worked on, test case 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓 worked on, also work item he worked on, test case, automation that he lays hand on, he carry out on the test on the demo site, automation, this the step feature file, he participated in the sprint refinement and estimates, sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3.
Okay, Gabriel, time up, but you can just run through the slides, yeah?
Okay, this is for 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶𝐓 is effort in the sprint. Okay. Damola Dada. Okay, that's the final. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐂𝐓. I'll be speaking on behalf of Team Fusion, the cybersecurity team. This is just an overview of the different responsibilities and tasks we looked at all through the course of the program, so from Sprint 0 all through till today. So we looked at networking, we looked at security operations, we looked at incident response, we looked at OSINT and threat intelligence, we looked at network analysis using Wireshark, we looked at social engineering, we looked at virtual machine setup, MITRE ATT&CK and kill chain, AppSec or application security, and vulnerability detection, as well as threat intelligence. So this is just a screenshot of the backlog page on Azure for cybersecurity. Now, for networking, we looked at setting up, managing, and protection of connections, as well as establishing these connections across endpoint devices, network devices, and other components. So basically, this just shows what networking is. We looked at the types of networks, the OSI model, which is basically a 7-layer framework that helps us understand how data travels in a network. So this is the network topologies. So there is point-to-point, the ring, star, bus, mesh, hybrid, and tree. Again, it just shows how data travels in a network. Then we used Cisco Packet Tracer to understand networking. Cisco Packet Tracer is just a virtual platform, or a platform that helps with simulation of a network system. And these are screenshots of the configuration of the router, as well as verifying the setup of the endpoint devices. So these are just snapshots of the configuration and ensuring that there is established connection. Then secondly, we looked at security operations, where we focused on threat detection, incident response, monitoring, threat hunting, security threat analysis, as well as improvement and recommendation. We got to understand that security operations falls under the seventh domain in cybersecurity, which is security operations. So when someone is a SOC analyst, is basically operating in that domain, and how does a security analyst respond to threats? So basically, you have to detect and escalate, analyze and contain, investigate and hunt for threats. So this just gives the escalation path of a SOC analyst or in a SOC analyst role. So we see from tier one all the way to the chief security officer. And this is just a table that shows across the different tiers, title, focus area, and key responsibilities of the SOC analyst. So the roles and the responsibility. Then we moved on to OSINT and threat intelligence, which is OSINT is open source internet. But basically, it's using publicly available information to identify, analyze, and mitigate cyber threats. So one of the platforms we used was Abuse IP DB. These are just snapshots. Another one, popular one, is Virus Total. And then for network analysis, it's just basically using Wireshark. Wireshark was a tool we used to analyze how, like, the traffic. So when we say network analysis, it's just the traffic on one's network. So this was my personal capture of my personal Wi-Fi traffic, and 3,160 packets were captured. And then this is just an analysis of that sample packets. These are just screenshots of the various aspects of that's on the Wireshark tool. So whether it's the conversations or the protocol, just different points. Then under social engineering, we looked especially at phishing mails. And this is a screenshot of sample phishing mails, as well as analysis of those phishing mails using the MX toolbox. So MX toolbox helps to analyze headers of suspicious mails. So based on the results, you can tell if that's a phishing mail or not. And these are other tools that can be used for analysis. So on the lower right, we have the hybrid analysis. Have I been pawned? IP void, whois lookup, virus total, and MX toolbox. Then we set up a virtual machine, which is basically a safe space to test, basically for testing, some of these phishing emails, because you do not want to open them on your main machine. So this was one of the virtual machines we used was a VM Workstation Pro, and so this is just a screenshot of it being set up on my system. Another machine was the Oracle VirtualBox. This was also it being set up, but the main one used was the previous one. Then we moved on to MITRE ATT&CK and Q-Chain, which is basically so the MITRE ATT&CK is a globally accessible knowledge base of tactics, techniques, and procedures. And then the Q-Chain just shows the stages of a cyber attack. And so this just gives examples. So the MITRE ATT&CK stands for adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. And so we see how, say for instance, the tactic gives the why, the techniques is the how, the procedure is the how the technique is executed. And yeah, just explaining how or why, first of all, say for instance, someone wants to access credentials, and they can do this by copying the clipboard data, and the procedure is one of these malwares that they could send. MITRE ATT&CK is very essential because it helps to guide threat hunting and as well as map alerts from SIEM tools. So the MITRE ATT&CK framework has three matrices. We have the enterprise, mobile, and the industrial control system matrix. And like the names specify, so mobile basically has to do with mobile phones. So we have the Android and iOS. In industrial has to do with basically anything industry. So construction, aviation, any banking, any industry. So just categorizing these threats based on industry. And then this is a screenshot of one of the techniques, a procedure as well as a mitigation. And the technique there is the lock screen bypass. So this has to do with mobile, a mobile tactic or a mobile technique. Then the kill chain, like I said, is a 7-stage framework that just shows the stages of a cyber attack. So from reconnaissance to implementation of the attack itself. Then we moved on to AppSec, that's application security and vulnerability detection. We also got to learn about OWASP, which is a platform, a non-for-profit platform that just gives kind of maps out the different threats being faced. So there's something called the OWASP Top 10, which is a list of the most pressing online threats. And then we got to download and install ZapScanner, which is more or less like a hacking tool. So for vulnerability testing. So the under apps application security, there's 5 stage. So this is the secure software development lifecycle, which from static analysis to risk assessment is just the goal of application security is basically discovering or detecting vulnerabilities as soon as possible and resolving them. So we got introduced to the concept of shifting left, which is basically detecting vulnerabilities early on in production before the product is being shipped or launched. So this is a screenshot of ImmuniWeb, which is one of the it's an online, it's just like a site where URLs can be kind of websites
Time
can
is
be
up,
scanned.
so time is up
Oh,
since 1920. It's sweet,
okay.
so we need to just run through in 30 seconds. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Yeah. So this is OWASP Top 10. Yeah, why vulnerabilities, threat intelligence, life cycle, what is threat intelligence, strategic. And these were just platforms we were encouraged to go learn or listen to help learn with cybersecurity. Thank you so much.
Presenting for the BA Vision team, reporting for the Fusion team, which is led by taking all through key deliverables for Sprint 3 and the tools we use to achieve them. So our goal for Sprint 3 was basically to develop the core functionality, focusing on the mentors and mentee journeys for 𝐬𝐿𝐴𝐻, and we did that by eliciting requirements with our PO. We wrote a lot of user stories and acceptance criteria. We did design quite a number of wireframes and fused with our whole team to get everything resolved and sorted. So in Sprint 3, we were able to write a total of 25 user stories, and we can see there's nearly in BA. So it means from the perspective of a BA, everything was validated and nothing in BA done. They're all approved by our PO, meaning it met the quality and standard that she wanted. 2 and committed based on after our sprint review, and we've got none in UAT and everything. Out of the 25, we had none in UAT and 23 in done. So we didn't look at writing user stories and creating wireframes for mobile responsiveness for the 𝐬𝐿𝐴𝐻 platform. So these are screenshots of the user stories and wireframes we did for Sprint, and Sprint. Now the tool we use to help us in our job so far as BAs were Azure DevOps, which was actually our primary tool for tracking our work items. We use Zoom to help support our stakeholder engagement, our daily stand-ups, and other agile ceremonies. We use Balsamiq to design our wireframes. We use Visio, Draw.io, Lucidchart for our process maps and use cases. Miro tool we use for all our mind maps, yes, and of course the Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint for BA jobs. Our training so far, we have been able to look more and deepen our understanding of our stakeholder engagements from the strategic gap analysis classes, stakeholder management courses we went through. We also were able to refine our wireframing skills by carrying more further trainings on use case diagrams and process mapping. Now, the following are a summary of what our individual team members have covered so far in this journey. This is for Moderate. So Moderate has written a total of 13 user stories and 10 wireframes. She's done a total of 1 process map and 1 racing matrix and 1 stakeholder analysis. This is a summary of Eniola's artifacts. She's written a total of 20 user stories. She's designed 23 wireframes and stakeholder matrix, process maps 1. And for me, I've written a total of 29 user stories, designed 22 wireframes, total use case 1, 1 process map design, 1 racing matrix, 1 stakeholder analysis, and 1 gap analysis. So I just have screenshots of all our jobs done till the end, and don't want to bore you with all that. There's a lot. And at the end, I think we do have a copy of a glossary. So that's what we ended with. So thank you. If you have any questions, we're happy to take it. Thank you very much.
Are you ready?
Hi everyone. Hi. Right. Thank you so much, Atali, for sharing your screen. Right. So this is just a recap of what the our objectives, like the scope and objective was for Team Tech. So the Metascape project is actually assigned to obviously deliver a secure, user-friendly mentorship platform, which would verify methods, safe payment, integration, and an engaging design and an efficient booking system, while acknowledging risk such as time constraints and technical challenges as well that might occur later in the project. Next slide, please. Right, looking at this slide, you'll see that the milestones. This is actually sprint 3, and in sprint 3, we had. I think I've got the most updated version, but it's fine. I'll just use this anyways. So for the sprint 3, we had the objective was to ensure that the MPV core functionality of the applications is being delivered in this sprint, and so far the sprint were in green. We're in green because obviously we're on track and things is actually going so well according to what we were supposed to have delivered in this sprint. And in this particular sprint, which is sprint 3, as I said before, you'll see that obviously everything is showing sprint 2, but it's actually sprint 3 because I've got the most updated version of this PowerPoint slide. And we had 11 PBIs or user stories to deliver in sprint 3, and these are the list of the user stories. Next slide, please. So we've identified risk issues in this sprint, and I'm just going to pick one and deliberate a bit more on that particular risk. So this risk is actually currently ongoing. It's an ongoing risk. During sprint 3, which is this sprint, the project experiencing a notable delay in the delivering of key user stories due to the unavailability of one of our lead developers. This impacted, obviously, our progress on several critical backend components that were obviously scheduled for this sprint. So the root cause, obviously, was the unavailability of the developer, and that was due to unforeseen personal circumstances affecting the developer, which led to reduced capacity in about 6 working days. The absence was not planned and occurred mid-sprint, which actually limits, our ability, the team ability to reassign tasks promptly to probably someone else, because obviously we had the budget for it. So the impact was that, we had slippages in the delivering of the sprint backlog items. We had delays in planned UAT and for the Metal dashboard, and obviously that was the impact. And the mitigation plan that we had in place was to ensure that we set up daily stand-ups. We actually adjusted the daily stand-up to actually to assess and prioritize open tasks. BA and Scrum Masters collaborated to split important stories to identify parts that could still proceed as well. So the developers returned later on at the end of the sprint and provided a catch-up plan for pending work, which is what we currently have, this week for sprint 4 as well. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Ojali, thank you. So you can see here, this is just like a recap of sprint 1, 2, and 3, based on our backlog and what we were able to achieve so far. So in sprint 3, we had 17 items scheduled for sprint 3, and sprint was not formally planned. I will show you the next slide, which will be, if you can put the next slide now, please, that would be nice, just for for me to clarify a few things. Right. So if you see here, sprint 3 was not formally planned. As you can see, yes, sprint 1 and 2 was planned, but sprint 3 wasn't planned due to, obviously, as I earlier mentioned, the unavailability of the lead developers. Despite this, the team managed to obviously complete all 17, items that was being scheduled to be completed in this sprint. As you can see here, so this actually, is showing resilience, but highlighting, the planning and the resourcing part of it as well, the risk that we had. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Right, so here this was supposed to be presented in probably sprint 1, just before the sprint starts, but it's never too late. I'm still going to present it anyways. So this is actually looking at the resource, and can you move on to the next slide, please? So this is actually looking at the resource and capacity plan. The budgeting and the resource plan set out for detecting. So the Metascape project has been obviously structured with a clear allocation of people, tools, and support within a budget of 2 million budgets. And the project team consists of 12 roles, covering from the product owner to agile delivery manager, developers, QA, data analysts, and cybersecurity team as well. You can see all of them all listed there. So the resource costs are aligned with market rates, as you can see here, ranging from 60K to 90K annually. Daily rate average from 167 to 250, ensuring controlled spend while retaining skill, professionalism. as well. So in terms of the technological and two aspect of it, we had the essential two that includes that needed to be used during the course of this project. That includes Azure DevOps, Microsoft 365, Zoom and Teams, and budgeted at low recurring cost of about 15 to 20 pounds per month as well. So looking at this as well, you see that we've got hardware and infrastructure. Minimal hardware spent was 1,000 for secure network access. A laptop that includes laptop software covering in testing setup. Then we had trainings as well that is going to be done in sprint, as part of the sprint for what we have in our backlog. So trainings and support consist of so that's going to cost us within £800, and that's going to be one-off for end user onboarding materials, and £400 for an ongoing technical support and system maintenance as well. So the financial position right now is that we had a 2 million total budget, and currently we've spent 765. Remaining balance includes 1,235,000. That's 62% of the budget still available. So which is actually good for us, to be honest. So just an overview for the resource and budgeting is that the project is well within budget, with core resource in place and operational costs kept plain. We've got major expenditure. The major expenditure is actually focused on skilled personnel, white tools, infrastructure, and compliance are cost efficient, with over 1.2 million remaining. The project is financially healthy and has sufficient flexibility in terms of what we've used and what we've got remaining to manage risk, and also future scope and scale towards MVP delivery as well in the future. So next slide, please. Right. So I've got a pie chart that actually illustrates this one as well. But obviously I don't have it here. But thank you so much for today. If anyone has got any question, you can ask the question now. Thank you so much,
everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ojali Fatu Singh, the Scrum Master for the tech team. My presentation covers everything we started from the 2nd of June to date. Starting with the free practical work-based IT training and some of the key learnings I got from there, I was able to adopt it in the Mentors Kit projects. This is the agenda for my presentation. I'm covering everything from the introduction to Mentors Kit project, to what we did in Sprint 0, which has to do with the discovery, initial setup and planning for the Mentors Kit projects. Sprint 1 to 4 covers the execution, key learnings, skill growth while on this project. So for discovery, this is the project mandates. All the high-level requirements were captured at this part on this page. On this document, which is a formal document authorizing us or giving us the green light to kickstart the project. And I also found out that this is the domain name for the project, and then those that will be impacted by this project. It's also mentioned here the tagline that was given to us to develop for the project. Some of the high-level requirements gathered is presented here on this slide. Continued here. And then for the key deliverables, I was able to separate them in terms of functional and non-functional requirements. And then I did a stakeholder analysis. For project initiation, I worked with the team on the initial product backlog. I created the stakeholder register like you saw before, and then prepared the board for the team to work on as our main collaborative tool. And out of that, I worked with the team to produce the project charter, the team charter, the definition of done, definition of ready, then onboarding of all the team members. I was able to do that on the Azure boards as well. These are the team members I worked with. This is the project charter. This is the team charter. These are the Scrum ceremonies I facilitated. And then we're given an assignment some time ago to make a list of all our job responsibilities. So this is all my job responsibility captured here. The acceptance criteria for the user stories is captured here. And everything is written in BDD format. And then I also facilitated the team in estimating the user stories based on story points using a modified version of Fibonacci sequence. For project planning, we had an 8-week agile release plan. Sprint 1, for every sprint, we had 2 weeks for every sprint. And then the release timeline is 8 weeks because we're having only 4 sprints. The delivery approach incremental. And then the team I worked with is the tech team, like I said in the beginning. Now for the deliverables for each sprint, everything is stated here on the slide, from static homepage to authorization functionality, core functionality, and then the payment functionality. That's the 4th sprint, which is currently under development. So this is the summary of all the increments that we're supposed to release at the end of every sprint. And we also identified, helped the team to also identify milestones based on the user journey. So the first milestone is onboarding of all users and the discovery of the mentor. This is the most important for us because this is where the mentor and the mentee establish a relationship. After the relationship is established, we expect that booking sessions will be the next thing and payments. These are some of the things I also did. Backlog management, making sure that all the user stories are refined using the invest criteria. And then I also made sure that the board was able to accommodate all the roles. So the BAs had their columns on the board, the developers, the DAs, the QAs, and the QAs. Next, project execution. 12 user stories were committed in sprint 1. We detected 1 bug in sprint 1, but unfortunately we missed the sprint goal. And that was because the definition of done was not well defined. So I had to go back and update the definition of done and included that the QAs would test as well as the BAs. So the part of the BAs where they were supposed to carry out UAT testing wasn't captured in the DOD. So I had to update that. That's why it's highlighted in red. And then what I did with these user stories that were not completed, because they didn't get to UAT, so I removed them from sprint 1, carried them over to return them to the product backlog for re-estimation, and then committed them into sprint 2. So this is the burn down charts. Everything here explains what we have here. The blue area, which is remaining efforts left for us to finish the total scope for the orange line. Remaining capacity is the green line. Then the ideal burn down trend is the ash colored line. We tried to follow this trend, but it wasn't possible. And this was what we're supposed to produce at the end of sprint 1, the static homepage showing the banner, the header, and the footer. Then sprint 2, 22 backlog items were committed. Originally, we planned for 10, but because we carried over 12 from sprint 1, we ended up with 22. This is the homepage, clickable, all features clickable at this stage. Then this is one of the features for onboarding, which is a mentee profile setup. This is the burn down trend from sprint 2. Then out of the 22 user stories we committed, the developer told us that she couldn't develop the cookies and the capture features. So I had to carry out a research to know what the compliance considerations were for cookies policy in the UK and capture policy in the UK, and what the implications meant for our projects. So the business and legal impact, and then the project impact. For us, we're not able to complete those features, so we had to return them to the product backlog. This is Sprint 3. We committed 18 user stories, and the goal for Sprint 3 is core function of the application. And these are we detected one bug here. Then we didn't start early because of some of the issues we had trying to get across to the developer. So we started very late. Sprint planning 2 was not completed because one feature was missing. That is, find a mentor user story was not part of the product backlog. We're going to commit into sprints. So we had to go back to our board and to refine all our user stories again. So it was an eye-opener for us, thinking that what's the user journey like? Why are we not committing the most important user stories? This is Sprint 3, and this is the part where the mentees are supposed to establish a relationship with the mentor. So if we don't have a user story for finding a mentor, then what are we doing? Because that is the core of the core objective of the website. So we ended up, this particular sprint was difficult for us because it interrupted with our sprint rhythm, which is supposed to be like every 2 weeks. So we had a lot of reworking to do, and everybody was just focused on making sure that we delivered all the user stories to done. And that interfered with our sprint planning and backlog refinement. We didn't really have time to go back to those ones. So this is what the mentorship service page looks like. We were able to complete everything in spite of all the challenges. And then this I had to do more research on the sprint planning challenge we had with the missing user story. So and then I discovered that we have to always think about dependent user stories, talking about predecessors and successor user stories and how they take priority over each other. So these were some of the ones that were committed and the ones highlighted here. Meanwhile, the most important one wasn't even there at all. So we had to hold a quick retrospective with my team to explain to them that we need to go back and understand the user journey, and then understand what user stories we should be committing at every stage of the journey. So our what they call the definition of ready, we also had to go back to the checklist and ensure that for every sprint planning, all these parameters must be taken care of, and then the status also documented. So the PO approval is important. The stories are defined at rest. Sorry. So this is it. Team health retrospective, project closure, key learnings. I did some assignments from the BA class because I attended one of their class. So this is it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rosemary, and I'm a BA, and I'll be presenting on behalf of my team, the BA team in the tech team. So I'll be looking at Sprint 3 goal tonight, which is the MVP core functions. All features are clickable for mentee and mentor journeys, but I'll also be focusing on all the work items we've done from Sprint 0 to Sprint 3, even to Sprint 4 as well. So so far for Sprint 1, we actually focused on the static features by defining and delivering the platform's fundamental static pages. For example, like the home, about us, contact us, terms and conditions, by also ensuring alignment with brand and user needs. So for Sprint 2, I looked at the authorization and functionality features of the MentorSkid platform. And for this, I captured the requirements and also supported the development of the secure registration, login, and also role-based access control for mentors and mentees and the administrators as well. So in Sprint 3, the goal was focused on the 4 core functions, stroke the user journeys for the mentees and the mentors. In this sprint, I collaborated with the product owner and the development team to design and also refine the core mentoring workflows. For example, where mentees are able to search, so more or less like a mentee journey, they're able to go onto the website and search for a mentor they would like to use for their session training. I also looked at booking of sessions, scheduling, and also some communication tools. So for Sprint 4, I focused on the Sprint 4 goal was the payment integration. So with this, I also gathered requirements and supported the implementation of payment features to enable transactions. We had 3 payment options for the payment portals, which is PayPal, Pioneer, and bank cards. I actively engage in sprint planning, daily stand-up, refinement sessions, sprint reviews, retrospectives. I also coordinated UAT sessions and actually carried out UAT to validate features with end users. So in regards to requirement and analysis, I facilitated requirement elicitation workshops, like I mentioned earlier on, with the product owner, producing robust user stories, acceptance criteria, wireframes, and process maps and use cases. I will be showing you some of these artifacts in a bit. So looking at the this slide here, it shows the task I have completed from Sprint 0 to actually Sprint 4, not Sprint 3 anymore. So far, I have created around 19 user stories and acceptance criteria, 19 wireframes, mock-up diagrams, 5 process maps, 5 use cases diagrams. I prepared 4 and also carried user acceptance testing, like I mentioned earlier on, for around 26 PBIs. I also did some knowledge transfers with my team members by showing them some of the skills I've acquired, either maybe when they've missed a workshop or something I've learned through personal development. I also gathered requirement, like I mentioned earlier on, also did documentation management by using one of the tools, Azure DevOps, for tracking as well. I'm also proud to say, I have 100% attendance for daily stand-up meetings, refinement, like I mentioned earlier on. I won't bore you with that. Let me go to the next slide. So this is the project stats for my team. As you can see, we've got 73 work items created, 18 work items completed. The Azure DevOps board, I have also this, as you can see, we've got maybe one in BA, and I'll just go through this quickly because I know I haven't got much time. So I also looked at the definition of done. which you can see here. I don't really want to go too much into it, but for Mentors Kit, a user story or feature is done when, the functionality reflects all documentations, reflects all documented acceptance criteria. There's more. I would go to the next one. So I've got a bit more here. We also looked at the definition of ready. During my project, I created SWOT analysis for the project I'm working on, which is the Mentors Kit. And this would help in me as a BA understanding the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats so that I can focus on areas for the project. I also looked at the gap analysis. As you can see on here, we're looking at the current state, even though it's a greenfield project. Yes, we're still looking at the current state. Is there any gap anywhere? Desired state, where we want it to be. I looked at the stakeholder analysis. What am I doing? Okay, I think I've gone further. Meant to go back. Oh, sugar. Anyway, I looked at the stakeholder analysis. I also looked at the RACI analysis. I would like to show you, but I'm not sure how. Okay, it's here. Yes. Sorry about that. Okay, so I looked at the stakeholder matrix, and this is just to show us who the product owner is. My team members, the developer. I've got the product owner here, the developer, the rest of my team, they're here, and then to show their roles and their power and interest in the project. Also the engagement strategy. This is a RACI chart. As you can see, it just gives a bit more understanding of the project activity and the deliverables and who is responsible for who has control. I created a use case diagram for the mentor and mentee for sign up, just to give more clarification on how the process should be. So that's the user, and the user is would sign up, and from signing up, they need to enter their email, create password. That's another one for mentee and mentor login. There's another use case here. This is an end-to-end mentee journey. I created process maps for mentee and mentor sign up, as you can see, from start to going into the website, sign up, select role for a mentee if you want to be a mentee or mentor. Another process map. This is a mentee journey to sign up. Process map again. Yeah. And then these are my artifacts. I've created quite a number of, I think around 20 wireframes. I'll just keep showing them. From creating the wireframes as well, which, helped in giving more picture clarification on the user stories I wrote. So, the previous one was for a mobile responsiveness one, because I meant to look at that as well. So these are my user stories I created. I'm just going to go quick so that I can go on to my colleagues. And so as you can see, the tools used, quite a few number of tools now that I'm quite confident in using. And these are the glossaries, sorry. Got quite a lot here as well. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. Sorry, I had to go quick because now I'll be presenting on behalf of my colleague, 𝐂𝐍𝐄𝐓. So this is Ezekiel's presentation. Project name, Mentors Kit platform. The goal is to design and implement a mentorship matching platform to connect mentors and mentees for skill development and career growth. Ezekiel is put here, he's created user stories And he's gathered these user stories by workshops with the product owner. He's analyzed them and documented over 25 user stories to cover registration, login, mentor-mentee profiles, booking. I'll go on to the next one. He's also carried out user acceptance testing, UAT, by coordinating and facilitating user acceptance testing with stakeholders. So that's gone quick. And then his responsibilities, which he's listed them. I'm going to quickly go back there. Yeah, that's what I was reading earlier on. Supported project delivery by refining backlog items, writing acceptance criteria, and participating in spring ceremonies. He's collaborated as well with developers, with the QAs and solution architects to assess solutions and ensure alignment with business objectives. He also coordinated and supported UAT through validation of the deliverables met, by validating that deliverables met business needs. He's also managed stakeholder expectations by providing regular updates, clarifications, and also impact assessment of changes. He assisted in change management by contributing to training materials, user guides, and end user workshops. He's identified risk, inefficiencies, and improvement opportunities to drive strategic business value. I'll go on to the next slide. So the tools he has used, he's listed them here. He has used MS Office, Google Documents for requirement documentation. Sorry, need to move that for requirement documentation and reports. He's used Visio for process flow, Lucidchart for flow chart, Balsamic for wireframe and prototyping user interface. He's also, for project and task management, he's used Jira for backlog management, user stories, epics, and tracking sprints. Collaboration and communication, he's used Teams, Zoom, Telegram, Miro, Evernote for note-taking. Testing and UAT tools, he's used Azure DevOps to manage UAT workflows, track bugs, and link to requirements. Stakeholder management, he's used RACI matrix to identify who is responsible, accountable, and consulted and informed. So these are the following artifacts 𝐂𝐻𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓 has created. So epics, features, PBIs, wireframes, bot status. I'm just going to go over them quickly. So these are wireframes. This user story, wireframe. He's also created a process map. This is the process map. Another process map. Another one. This is a use case he created, and this is for mentor and mentee for bookings on the platform. They're able to search and select mentor, send booking requests, view booking status, accept or decline, reschedule booking, cancel booking. Another use case for terms and condition. Another use case, log out for mentor skid. He created stakeholder matrix, as you can see, and the stakeholder matrix would show the interest. It's a power interest grid, so it would show who as a BA needs to keep satisfied, who we need to manage closely, who we need to just monitor or keep informed. Next slide. He's created a RACI matrix, as you can see. The power interest. He also created SWOT analysis to show the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. This is the VMOST analysis, which is showing the vision, trusted user-friendly mentorship platform that connects mentors and mentees globally, empowering growth. There's also the mission, objective, strategy, tactics. So MentorSkid Project Wiki, table of contents, projects. First one is a project overview, vision and mission, purpose of MentorSkid platform, scope, what's in scope and out of scope, objectives, high-level goals, stakeholders list, glossary and standards. We're still on the wiki. So there's a requirement as well on here. And we're looking at business requirement documentation, high-level business needs, functional requirements, user capabilities, register login, book sessions, non-functional requirements, user stories and acceptance criteria, backlog items, requirements, traceability metrics, links, requirements to design, development, and testing. The fourth one is analysis and models, process maps, registration, booking, payment workflows, use case diagrams, login, logout, session booking, profile management. So the data models, ERD, database schema for mentors, mentee sessions, wireframes and mockups, as the UI designs, registration for registration and booking, project management. So under that, we have project plan and timeline, key milestones, RACI matrix, roles and responsibilities. Sorry. 7, testing and QA. Also reporting analytics, we've got that, and knowledge base. And this is the glossary. Thank you. That's all. That's the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, please let us know. And I have to apologize. We're meant to be 3 members in the BA, but one of us unfortunately couldn't send his project in. So it's just the 2 of us. Thank you.
My name is Adetola. Hello everyone, my name is Adetola and I'm presenting for the QA on the 13th. I'm presenting on behalf of Ayomide and I, who's currently not available. So our sprint review, just a brief review from sprint 0 to sprint 3. You know, sprint 0 was about project initiation for us and setup. And sprint 1 was about core navigation and authentication, while sprint 2 is about project management and booking flow. Part of the in-scope for us was dealing with the profile and personal details for both mentee and mentor. I would say the overall lessons that we learned from the sprint from sprint 0 to 3 was about having a clear requirements and user journey for the first one, then about covering both positive and negative scenarios. So based on what has been displayed here, part of the core function of the website, which is the MentorSkid, was about our scope was about writing test cases for testing, mentor handling, doing the functional and non-functional testing for both for both mentee and the mentor. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, so this is our test environment that we use. We work closely apart from using different browsers, so we could have maybe different outcome or the same outcome. So our test environment was is the staging, which is 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓.MentorSkey. That was the staging environment, and a browser that we use was based on Chrome, Edge, and Firefox. And for defect logging, we used Azure Board. Then for automation, we used Playwright. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this is one of the. I want to be sure who did this. This must have been done by myself. Okay, this is done. Oh, this is done by me. I then worked on the mentors test cases, where I worked on the mentee test cases. So this is part of the Actifa from Ayomide. It did this on the Azure board. Oh yeah, thank you. So this is our summary table from sprint 0, should be sprint 02 now. So for my colleague, he worked on 20 user stories, where I did 24. You can see that the test cases written by either of us goes to 59, I think so. So for sprint 1 and 2, based on, because we didn't have we could not meet the objective of sprint 1. Some were carried over into sprint 2. That's why we have that number of 9 and 11. And for sprint, the current sprint, which should have been 3, not 1 actually. We just have few product backlog to work on, because it's just about security and account management. Can you go to the next one, please? So this is part of our this artifact. We worked on here you can see working on the photostatic. This is actually a bug that you raised, and you could see it reproduced the step on whatever happened on this one. This was, I think, was sent back to the developer to work on, because it was the severity was actually medium. The priority is 2. I think this was eventually resolved. Can you go to the next slide, please? So continue with this artifact. There's a couple of what kind of things he worked on, and most of them, if you see the state, it says ready. So everything was, he did this, he got test cases, moved everything to ready when it was finished. Right, then next one. Yeah, that's that is test cases on the Azure board. That is for, I can't see it properly. Can you go to the next one, please? Yeah, so this is a part of my artifact. The work that I did work on as well. Like I said, I think I worked on maybe in 2018. So can you go to the next one as well? Right. So this is a test case which I did using the manual testing using the exact format. I actually worked on a couple of test cases, and mostly using either Azure board or Excel. So this is an example of what I did. Continue. Can you change to the next one, please? Can you go to the next slide, please? All right. So this is part of my test case as well. Put up. Right. Go on, please. I think I should have done this thing. Can you go to the next one? Right. So these are part of the challenges that we had in terms of this project. So we put up the challenge area and the impacts that it had on us. For example, running the automation environment, especially in the second sprint, we didn't know how to understand it properly. But over time, I think we were able to get across to it. Even though we still have some mitigations, some challenges, but some were actually mitigated. If I can take an example of seeking feedback and asking questions. You can say I said there is this hesitation to ask questions or not knowing who to ask questions through. who to direct the questions to or to escalate issues to. I'll thank our Scrum Master because she was quite helpful, pointing us up to, okay, you can do this, you can do that. And this has because of then there's this issue of no response from mentee and mentor there. Part of the communication tools we use was the Azure and the best practice for test documentation. Can you go to the next slide? Next slide. Yeah, so this is part of the automation feature. This was by me. So this was when we just started out. This is just part of the login feature that we did. Yes. Next one. Right. This is step definition, but feature fair. This was done by, I think this was done by 𝐖𝐈𝐓𝐇. I've got mine put up as well somewhere there. So this was when this is our teaching stage, learning how to do this, and we were being put through by DG, how to edit some of this feature file, and basically what we've been working on. And this is this is what feature I did during my self-development time, because I missed some of the classes, and I could actually, following through each step, I could actually come up, I got a positive result, but I still have some challenges with it as well. Yeah, can you go to the next one? Oh, okay. I would say that for us, the project outcome and learning was about reducing, bugs with structured test design, and another outcome would be strengthening collaboration with my fellow QA, because we could work in tandem, and in cases there are challenges, we could go through it. And finally, I would say another outcome was being able to improve on deployment with our work. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓, and I'll be part of the project team, the cybersecurity role. I'll be talking about all the tasks that I've done throughout the sprint. This is not the latest slide, but this is what I've done throughout the sprint 0 and sprint 1, introduction to cybersecurity, networking, security operations center, SOC tools and threat intelligence. For sprint 2, network protocol analysis, social engineering, use case diagram, SharePoint, MITRE attack, cyber kill chain. Then sprint 3 and sprint 4, I'm going to combine it together. Application security, virtual machine installation, the SAP scanner installation, and the threat intelligence. Next slide, please. So next slide. Yeah, well, the sprint 0 and sprint 1, I was introduced to what cybersecurity is all about. The common domain is cybersecurity. Then the common cybersecurity titles, the SOC analyst, the security engineer, penetration tester, GRC, and threat intelligence analyst. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just the 20 responsibility of any cybersecurity expert. It is one of the tasks that were given. I must say that in this training, about 12 tasks were completed by me. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another task that was given, that we should analyze the 10 cybersecurity tools that we can use as a cybersecurity analyst. We have the Wireshark, the Snort, the Splunk, the Security Onion, the Open VAS, and what have you. The next slide, please. Okay, so I was introduced to Cisco Packet Tracer, which is a powerful simulation tool developed by Cisco. It is used to analyze network and to create virtual network using your router, your switches, your PCs, and more. Also, we can use this to simulate our read-work network scenarios and also to learn Cisco network concepts. Next slide. Okay, these are the basic Cisco commands that I was exposed to, like the configure host name, the configure 9 password, encrypt password, and what have you. Next slide. Okay, this is one of the tasks that was completed by me. Basic configuration for PC, just to initiate communication between two PCs and the router. Next slide. This is just a snapshot of the configuration of the router, because we have to configure the router to talk to the PCs. So these are the configuration that we did. Next slide. Also, the PCs need to be configured by putting their IP addresses, their subnet marks, and also it is done as static. Next slide. Okay, this is another task, just to test connectivity between the router and the two PCs that was set up, just for us to know that whether they are communicating or not. This is just a snapshot of what we have done using pink. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, this is another lab work that was completed by me to set up a small network. And we have 3 PCs here that is communicating with the router. And also we test connectivity between this, whether the PC were able to connect or to talk to the router. And this is just the snapshot of what we are able to do. Next slide. Okay, this is another lab work to set up a wireless network and also to ascertain that there is connectivity between the wireless router and the laptop and the PC. Next slide. Okay, we're introduced to Security Operations Center, which is a centralized unit that monitors, that detects, that responds to, and prevents any form of cyber threat. Next slide. Then the tier structure of the SOC, we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and the SOC manager. Tier 1 is known as a security receptionist, tier 2 as a cyber detective. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so this is a SOC map that just tell us about escalation process from the tier 1 SOC analyst to the tier 3 SOC analyst. So this is just like an escalation process from the first level to the last level. The tier 1, we monitor, then we trigger the any form of cyber threat. It will alert it to the tier 2, where the tier 2 will conduct a threat intelligence and investigation. Then the tier 3 SOC analyst will do sort of a threat hunting and containment. Next slide. Okay, this is just we're given a task to report an attack as a SOC analyst, just be in the position of the 4 tier structure: the tier 1, the tier 2, the tier 3, and the SOC manager. So just for us to know how to escalate any form of attack. And one of the attacks that we escalated was a brute force attack. Yes, under the sprint through. No. You are faster than what I'm saying. What's happening? I'm on sprint through now. Okay, go. Okay. Even before that, we did we have threat intelligence also in sprint 1.
Time is past. Time is past. Just push.
Hello.
Talk through. You're 6 minutes over. That's your minute over. So just keep going quickly. You can speak.
You have not been stopping others all this while. Okay, fine. These are what I did over time for the sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. Every of it is on my slide. We have the social engineering, the email, phishing attack, use case, matter attack, and what have you. Thank you. So I've stopped.